What is going on, boys and girls? I hope you're all doing well, and I hope that monster opening sounded pretty good because I've actually got my brand new microphone on my camera. So let me show you guys my full setup now. So yeah, for any of you guys that are interested, this is my whole new setup for vlogging, the videos, etc. It is the Sony a6400 with the kit lens on it at the moment. I've got the Rode video microphone, which I've just got a little cold tube mount, which I moved from the middle of the camera to the edge of the camera, and pretty much I did that so I could flip up the screen still without the microphone getting in the way. And just holding it all up, I've got the Joby Gorilla Pod. And then obviously I've got my big tripod too, which I use for just filming everything else when I'm not vlogging. Yeah, boys and girls, we've got a push day this morning in the gym, so I'm going to go ahead and finish this monster and I'll see you in the gym. Alright, what's happening, boys and girls? So today I'm going to be taking you through a shoulder focused push workout. So we're mainly prioritizing the shoulders, and chest and triceps is going to be the secondary muscle group for this workout. I just quickly wanted to touch on how my diet's going at the moment as well, to keep you guys updated. Obviously from the clip you saw at the start of the video, I was 102. Nope, I was not 102, I was 100.2 kilograms in the morning. And that's good because that means I am gaining weight at a good rate, I think. So, you know, I started the Hard Gainer Bulking series off at 98 something a couple weeks ago, and I've been eating at 4,000 calories every day since. So I'm obviously in a caloric surplus, and I'm going to keep it this way until I hit a plateau. So yeah, I'm gaining weight nice and slowly, how it should be in a lean bulk. And I just want to let you guys know that it is going well, and I'm still maintaining to eat 4,000 calories per day, so I'm staying in a lean surplus. But yeah, with that out of the way, boys and girls, we're going to go ahead and go straight into the first exercise, which is dumbbell shoulder press. Going to be working up to 4 sets of 12 reps with the 30 kilogram dumbbell. So let's do this.
Fall apart till I walk on my ankles. Can I finish? I just don't know. Don't know. Don't know. Don't know.
Alright, boys and girls, so this brings on to the main segment of the video, which I'm going to be answering, which in my opinion are the most frequently asked questions from hard gainers / new lifters starting the gym. So what I did tell me out of this video is I asked a few of my good mates some questions that they think are appropriate. You know, a lot of them are just starting out in the gym too, so it's coming from first-hand experience, and obviously I've been in that position too. I still am arguably in that position to some people. So it's coming from my opinion, my experience, and other people's experience. I just think this is going to really benefit a lot of people. So I'm not going to dive too deep into detail of each of the questions because I want to be able to answer a few of them. But if you want me to go into detail about any other questions, just be sure to leave a comment down below or drop me a DM on Instagram. My Instagram's down in the description, and I'll be able to have an extended conversation with you guys there about whatever subject you want to talk about. So yeah, boys, that leads me on to the first question, which is pretty much how do you consume a considerable amount of calories on a budget? My best answer to that probably is just to consume calorie dense foods. So it's as simple as it sounds. Calorie dense foods are just foods that contain a lot of calories for what they actually are. So some foods, for example, you can eat like a large quantity of it, but you won't actually be consuming many calories. I'll say if you ate just like a load of chicken and rice, Obviously, I know that's good food, that's kind of what bodybuilders eat, but you're not actually consuming that many calories doing that. Say if you eat a more calorie dense food like bagels and Nutella on, you probably need to consume about 2 bagels, and you've got the equivalent of like a big portion of chicken and rice. So it really just is about choosing the most calorie dense foods. It's actually a really good question for me because I'll be going off to uni in September, so I'm gonna have to be really conscious about what foods I'm buying and what I'm getting the best value for my money from. So yeah, that's my biggest tip for that question, is just focus on what foods are the most calorie dense. I know that obviously if you generally look at most calorie dense foods, they're not the healthiest, and I get that. So, I feel like it might be quite hard to do if you're trying to stay very, very healthy and stay in a very lean bulk. The chances are, if you're first starting out and you're coming from a very skinny background, which I assume most of you are, you could probably get away with having some high fat foods. But anyway, it's just going to aid you on putting weight on faster. So I think you'll be able to get away with it. But I'm sure there are a lot of calorie dense foods out there which are still quite healthy, which are probably better value for your money than eating a lot of a less calorie dense food. So that kind of leads me on nicely to the next question, which is also to do with nutrition. And that is, how do you actually consume a certain amount of calories in a bulk throughout a day? Like, people were saying to me, how is it physically possible? And obviously it is physically possible, you just have to do it. My best advice is probably get up early. I don't really do it so much now because my appetite's increased over time. When I first started, I would literally set an alarm for like 6 or half 6. I'd go and eat a meal, come back to bed for an hour or two, then get up and have my second meal. So obviously the longer period of time you are awake throughout the day, the more opportunity you have to consume calories. So it's pretty simple, just wake up earlier. I know that seems like a big deal for some people, but if you really want it, you will do it. If you're complaining about having to wake up early to get more calories in, you're probably not taking it that seriously in the first place. You probably aren't actually too bothered about how you look or trying to bulk up. But other than that, the only tip I would have for that is sometimes you just have to kind of force yourself to do it. I'm not saying force yourself till you're literally sick or on the edge of being sick every time. Obviously, you don't want to be sick, so then you're just losing the calories you just consumed. But essentially, I know sometimes you put a meal down and you kind of get to that stage where you feel full, but you could eat more, but you just can't be bothered to. At that point, you just want to kind of be like, no, come on, think about why you're doing it, think about the end result, how you want to look, and just force yourself to eat a little bit more. Again, I'm not saying eat until you're sick, but I know when I was bulking up when I first started, there were some occasions where I just had to force some food down my throat just to try and get in the calories I needed to each day. Okay, next up we're transitioning to training. So this question is about how to structure a workout plan, mainly focusing on PowerBuilding. If you don't know what PowerBuilding is, it's essentially the combination of powerlifting and bodybuilding where you train for 2 goals, which is strength and size. Now there's lots of different ways you can structure your training, but the number one thing to take into account first is what days can you actually train, what's your flexibility, how often can you go, what's a realistic goal for you. So that's the first thing you need to think about. And the second thing you need to think about is what actually are your goals. Are you going to be going to the gym frequently enough to achieve your goals? And what goals do you actually have in the gym? Do you want to get bigger? Do you want to lose fat? Do you want to get stronger? What do you want to do? But yeah, like I said, this question is mainly focusing on powerbuilding, so I'll quickly touch on that. So from my opinion, the most success I've always had with powerbuilding when I was in the first 1 to 3 years of lifting was doing a training split, which is push-pull legs. It doesn't have to be push-pull legs, that's just what I did. So I did push-pull legs, rest day, push-pull legs. And the way I did this around powerbuilding is I started every session with a heavy compound movement, which was aided towards powerlifting. So for example, on the push day, I would do flat bench press. On the pull day, I would do deadlift. On the first leg day, I would do back squats. So those are the 3 main compound SBD movements in powerlifting. Then during the next push-pull legs, the second half of the week. So during the second half of the week, when I do the second push-pull legs, after the rest day, I would do accessory movements at the start from each compound, which aid the main movement. So for example, for the first push day, I might do seated overhead press, because that's an accessory movement to bench press, or maybe close grip bench, for example. And then on the pull day, I might do something like deficit deadlifts or rack pulls, again a movement that's aiding the deadlift. And then for legs, I would do something like front squats, heavy leg press, anything that's an accessory movement to help you with the main movement. And all these movements I'm talking about is the very first exercise you do for each session when you get to the gym. It needs to be a heavy compound focusing on strength between 6 to 8 reps, nothing more. And that's just personally how I went about my programming for powerbuilding. Then after I completed those main exercises, I would go on to do my hypertrophy. So for example, on a push day, I do my main chest compound for strength. Then I go on to do some hypertrophy movements like chest flies, which obviously can be higher reps focusing on bodybuilding. So we're talking anywhere from 8, maybe up to 15 reps. And again, obviously the other main component is progressive overload. If you're not progressive overloading, you're definitely not going to be getting stronger and probably not going to be putting on size either. So focus on progressive overloading and don't forget to deload every so often too. In my last video, I spoke a lot about progressive overload and deload, so make sure you check that out. I'll leave a link in the description below. So I'll just do some quick fire ones now. Next up, we've got, should you do cardio and how often should you do it? Cardio just comes down to personal preference. If you're training for better cardiovascular endurance, then obviously you want to do more cardio. If you want to be fitter, do more cardio. If you want to be healthier, do more cardio. There's nothing wrong with doing more cardio. The most important thing is that you make up for the calories you burn. Obviously, when you're bulking, you want to be in a caloric surplus, which is when you are consuming more calories than what your body is burning off. So if you are doing substantial amounts of cardio, then obviously you need to be consuming more calories than what your body's burning off, so you are continuing to bulk. Next up, we've got water. How much water should you drink? Water isn't too important. It's personally something I've never tracked. I think people get a bit too focused on it and they care too much about the number. As long as you're drinking enough water, personally for me, if I have to give any advice, just if you feel thirsty throughout any point of the day, that means you're dehydrated, that means you need to drink more water. So I wouldn't focus on a specific number, how many pints or gallons of water you need to consume each day. Just keep water around you in a bottle and a jug throughout the whole day. And anytime you feel a little bit thirsty, just have a sip of water. Even if you're not thirsty, just sip a little bit of water. Make sure you're hydrated constantly. Don't ever go dehydrated for a long period of time. But yeah, that's my opinion on water consumption. Obviously, unless you are cutting down for a powerlifting or bodybuilding show, you need to really focus on cutting out water. And obviously, then yes, you are going to have to track how much water you're intaking. Chances are you probably do that. You probably have a coach or you're very experienced. So if most of you out there, don't worry about counting how much water you're consuming. Just make sure you're hydrated all the time. All right, supplements. What supplements do you need? Right, you do not need any supplements. I spoke about this in my last video, so I'm not going to touch too much about it, but you do not need any supplements. Supplements are there to supplement your diet. It's literally in the name. Food should always come first. Always make sure your diet is absolutely immaculate before you start considering supplements. But that being said, there are a few very good supplements out there. I will list 3 of the main ones that I use and the ones I think are the best. First one obviously being probably the most common, which is protein powder. Protein powder is just nice, it's easy to consume, it's quite cheap. You can get it in so many different flavours, so you're bound to like one of them. Essentially, I just use it for what its purpose is, and that is to supplement my diet. If I get towards the end of the day and I feel like I haven't consumed enough protein, or I just feel like I'm going to struggle getting protein in that day, it's just an easy source to consume a decent amount of protein. Next up is creatine monohydrate. You don't need any of the other creatines, anything a company tries to sell you. Best creatine you can buy is creatine monohydrate from MyProtein, nothing else. Well, I mean, you can get creatine monohydrate from other sites, but it's just bare cheap from MyProtein, so you might as well get it from there. But essentially, it allows for more energy release. It converts more ADP into ATP. So pretty much it might be able to allow you to get an extra rep or 2 during a set. It's kind of good for when you're training till failure, when you're really trying to focus on size and you get into those last few reps of the set, you might be able to squeeze out a few more than you would if you weren't taking creatine. Creatine also helps hold a little bit of water retention around the muscles, so it kind of gives me that bit more of a fuller, kind of bloatier look. Personally, I've taken it pretty much throughout the whole 4 years I've been lifting, obviously on and off sometimes. You do not need to cycle on and off it, that is bullshit. If anyone tells you need to cycle off creatine, then they're lying. It's not a steroid, you don't need to cycle off it. However, obviously, if you do want to stop taking creatine, there is no harm in doing that, and it's probably good to give your body a little bit of a rest, but it's not going to kill you if you stay on creatine. I've pretty much been on creatine for 4 years of my life, and I'm still alive. So finally, we have pre-workout. Now, pre-workout is good. Definitely don't do it too much. The more pre-workout you take, the more of a caffeine tolerance you will build up, so it will become less effective. I've had so many types of pre-workouts. I used to be a little bit of a stim junkie, not gonna lie. But I'm not gonna go into too much detail about pre-workouts and what they do. That's a whole nother video. In my opinion, one of the best pre-workouts I've ever had is all black everything, just because the calorie content is so good per serving, and it doesn't send you absolutely off the rails so you can't actually do anything. Like, you start crashing after the gym and stuff because you don't really want that to happen. But yeah, like I said, pre-workout is good to be used on days where you're doing like power building, you've got heavy compounds. It can really help push you throughout the session. Definitely don't take it every day because you're just going to build up a tolerance and you get to the point where it just won't do anything anymore. But yeah, definitely when gyms reopen again in the UK and you're thinking about taking it seriously, maybe invest in like a good pre-workout that you can take like 2-3 times a week on your heavier sessions. So that leads me on to the last question. I kind of want to save this one for the very end because I feel like it's going to have the most impact on people, and that is motivation. So motivation is always a tricky one throughout life. You know, we go through periods where we feel really motivated and we go through periods where we don't feel very motivated. Most people tend to have these short bursts of motivation, and in my opinion, that's where people go wrong. People kind of just wake up one day and they'll get this burst of motivation, and all of a sudden they'll want to start working out. Or, you know, this can apply to anything in life, but obviously I'm going to apply it to working out because that's what the question is about. And like I said, people get these motivation bursts and they'll start going to the gym for maybe a week, 2 weeks, maybe a month, maybe even 2 months. And that's great and everything. It's good that they got that initial gauge, that initial burst of energy to get going. And this is where I believe most people fall from the gym. This is what separates the people that really care and the people that don't. And it's when the gym suddenly becomes not a hobby anymore, but a part of your daily, weekly routine, something you have to, something you cannot miss. And in my opinion, that's what separates people who are successful with changing their body and people that are not. So that first burst of motivation, that's good. You know, you got up, you got going, and you're getting into the swing of it. But the hardest part is maintaining that. Being able to understand that, you know, you're not going to wake up and look jacked in the mirror in the morning. You know, understand that it is literally a marathon, not a sprint. I know it's a long process. It takes a while to change your body, especially if you're coming from that hard gainer background and you're coming from really skinny, you have quite poor genetics, you know, you're not really built to do it. But like I said, it comes back to mindset. You know, your body can rebel against you. It can tell, you know, that it doesn't want to put on all that muscle mass, doesn't want to put on the weight, the extra calories, doesn't want to consume all the food. But you've just got to be stronger than that. And this is the most frustrating thing, because people will go to the gym, they'll do it for like a few weeks, a month, maybe 2 months, and that just isn't long enough. Like I said, it's just not, and it's frustrating because people just stuck with it. If they just stuck with it a couple more months, half a year, they will see results. And when you see those results, I honestly swear down, a switch like flips in your head. It actually does. And all of a sudden, the gym, like going to the gym, that's not a hobby anymore. That is a lifestyle. And in my opinion, that is the transition that changes people who really care, people who are successful changing the body, and people who are not. You know, everybody in the gym has a different goal, but everyone's on the same journey. And that's the thing. Like, people who like disrespect other people going to the gym, you know, you will get people that might give you the look, and it does happen. You've just got to come to terms with that. But at the end of the day, everybody's in there for the same reason, because they want to change. And you've got to remember that everybody is the same in the gym. You all want a change in your life. You want a change in your physical appearance, a change in your mental health. You want to feel and look better. Everyone's got different goals of where they want to end up, but we're all there for the same reason. But yeah, boys and girls, I think I'm going to leave this video here. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed it, a like rating would be amazing. I really do appreciate it. It means a lot to me that you guys are enjoying the content. Also, if you want to see other videos like this, obviously subscribing means you get to see them, so that would also be sick. But yeah, boys and girls, other than that, I hope you enjoyed the video. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.